Time now to take a look at what's making headlines elsewhere around the world. And Solange Moujon is here in studio to do just that with us for the press review. Solange, you are starting with that visit to Ukraine by the French president, by Olaf Scholz and Mario Draghi.
Yeah, and let's begin with how the Ukrainian press is approaching this visit. The Kyiv Independent, it says that during this first wartime visit, which was also included the Romanian president, France and Germany actually broke with a long-standing tradition of being hesitant over whether Ukraine could join the EU. Now, Politico is showing a rather unified front, a unified image in support of a candidacy, and Politico explains that the message to Moscow was twofold. That one, the Soviet sphere of influence is dead and it will not be resurrected by force, and the EU and its allies will not strong-arm Ukraine into surrender or territorial compromises, end quote. But in the French press, such praise, of Macron's first visit to war-torn Ukraine, it is showing some cracks. Some of the praise is showing cracks. In Libération, it says, Les Visiteurs, this is a reference to a 1990s film, a comedy. Libé says it was a very orchestrated, image-conscious trip. It was better late than never, but promises that were made were not good enough.
And of course, Solange, that visit coming just before Sunday's legislative elections, Emmanuel Macron heading to Ukraine. Talk to us about the timing.
Yeah, cartoonists are actually focusing on the timing of this trip, which also comes on the tail end of France's presidency of the Council of the EU and of Macron's leaving just before the elections. Chapat says, with his cartoon, which you see right there, it's on the cover of Le Monde, it says, at least they're talking about abstentionism, making reference here to the first round and its low turnout. Now, for L'Opinion, the illustrator Kaka has also touched on the two issues of the vote and of Ukraine. He has Zelensky surrounded by Scholz and Macron with the Ukrainian president saying, I wish you to resist and to win, yes, but also not to humiliate the nukes or France's left coalition. This is mixing here Macron's saying Russia should not be humiliated for an end of the war with as well the difficulty that his party has had in finding a clear path on how to attack or support left-leaning candidates for the second round. And as L'Opinion asks whether the trip to Kyiv was actually useful, considering that Macron, it writes, is playing on Sunday not for his political future, but for how powerful he will or will not be in his second term. Also of note today is an interesting opinion piece in the New York Times. I have to add there's some need for full transparency here. It is written by France 24's own Cole Stangler, entitled Something Extraordinary is Happening in France. It is, in my opinion, a great explainer of the French political left, how Mélenchon has managed to unite it, and how that union is actually changing the political landscape in France, with more focus now on the power of left voters rather than just on the far right. It argues as well that this unification of the left could potentially have a ripple effect in other nations.
And we will, of course, be covering those elections all throughout the weekend here on France 24. Solange Moujon with the press review. Thanks so much for joining us in studio this morning. We'll be talking to you again later on.